The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. Then they came to Capernaum, and on the Sabbath Jesus entered the synagogue and taught. The people were astonished at his teaching, for he taught them as one having authority and not as the scribes. In their synagogue was a man with an unclean spirit. He cried out, "What have you to do with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." Jesus rebuked him and said, "Quiet, come out of him." The unclean spirit convulsed him, and with a loud cry came out of him. All were amazed and asked one another, "What is this?" A new teaching with authority. He commands even the unclean spirits, and they obey him. His fame spread everywhere throughout the whole region of Galilee. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. A good number of our grandchildren, children, and even some of our own generation have abandoned their Christian heritage, distrustful of certain church teachings, disturbed by moral failures. They become content with the search for meaning. The search seems to suffice in place of meaning itself. And surrounded as we are by this environment, it's no wonder that even a very faithful Christian will wobble a bit. While watching our nation's capital being attacked by our own citizens, I asked myself, what is it that they really want? It clearly isn't democracy or the Constitution. Has so much of our center fallen away that the only security that remains for these people is their race and their gender? Why is it that being equal isn't enough? Why do some have the aching need to feel superior to others? And should one despair when invaded by such moments of collective loneliness and doubt? With those questions in mind in that context, I prayed over today's readings and kept thinking of Monday's feast of St. Bridget of Ireland. And my mind drifted to the Irish poet Seamus Heaney and an incident that he recalled in his Nobel laureate speech several years ago. He spoke of how a minibus full of workers was stopped one night on a lonely road in Northern Ireland by a group of masked and armed gunmen. And the occupants of the van were ordered out and to line up on the side of the road. And one of the masked men ordered, "Any Catholics, get over here." All but one of the workers was in fact Protestant. And they presumed that the masked men were Protestant also, Protestant paramilitary out to kill Catholics in retaliation for a recent round of sectarian violence. The one Catholic made a slight movement to step forward, but in the relative cover of the winter darkness, he felt the hand of the Protestant worker next to him clutch his hand and whisper to him, "Don't move. We won't betray you." But the Catholic, resigned to his fate, stepped forward anyway. And before he knew what was happening, he was knocked to the ground and he heard the volley of gunfire, killing his fellow workers. For the gunmen were not Protestant paramilitary, they were Catholic members of the Irish Republican Army. Heaney, who himself is Roman Catholic, then remarked, quote, "The birth of the future we desire is surely in the contraction which that terrified Catholic felt on the roadside, not in the gunfire, but when another gripped his hand." What do you want of us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? Cries the man in the gospel, together with all the adamant partisans of our world today, possessed as they are to the point of violence. All to whom Jesus might reply, "Yes, yes, in fact, I have come to destroy you, but not with fire and brimstone, not with economic subjugation or the squeeze of a trigger, but by taking your hand and squeezing it in my own."